Yeah, welcome once again to Slope TV, where we discuss issues national and international governance, leadership, political, economic, and all issues that face our people. And today I'm a very sad African, especially looking at what is happening in South Africa, the Afrophobic and the xenophobic attacks that are happening in South Africa are making some of us who admired the movement for the emancipation of South Africa from apartheid and the sacrifices made by the faithful sons of South Africa over many years look like a mockery. I am talking about the Walter Sizulus, the Nelson Mandelas, the Thabo Mbeki, his father, Oliver Tambo, and all those people, and those who died in the struggle trying to fight for an equal, free South Africa. The 27 years of incarceration of Nelson Mandela and other patriots. Now, when you look at really what is happening in the South currently, and I believe most of you agree with me, it sheds shivers down our spines. And I am seeing the South African nation, the Rainbow Nation, becoming the sick man of the South. You know, I love Professor Peter Kawanja's assessment of issues, and himself and his wife, they have lived in South Africa for many years, almost a decade. And I heard him, and there's a video to that effect, dissect the situation in the South, and there are comments that he made that have impacted my own interpretation of the happening in South Africa. And the reason is because he was talking about the exiles and the exiles. The exiles, these are South Africans who, during the struggle, were accommodated in other countries in Africa and outside of Africa, where they found a second home. They were able to organize, they were able to be able to address the issues there on the international fora. They were able to train, get equipment, get support, financial and otherwise, including that in a country like Nigeria, students in schools will be urged to contribute money, a shilling each, and that money collected in Nigeria would be sent to the South to support the freedom struggle at such a critical time when they were going through this. And when you look at the two groups, those who went to exile and then those who remained, those who had some kind of tribal nationalistic zeal, and these are the majority, from within the tribal groupings, the major groupings, of course, being the Xhosa and the Zulu, and of course others come in, that even at when freedom was finally attained and Mandela became the president, there was a lot of friction between the exiles and the exiles, that those who came from outside had gone out, they had experienced the outer world, they were more accommodative. They looked at South Africa as a country that could actually be a boiling pot for different cultures and different peoples of Africa and of the world. But those who are stayed in, the exiles, felt threatened by the policies of government that advocated for a more open government, where many foreigners came either to do business, to work, or to invest in South Africa. Remember, during the apartheid system, the Africans were not really given proper opportunity for education. They were only allowed a certain level of education, and so most of these people, and of course the attendant socio-economic environment, did not allow them to advance economically, also in education. And so then what happened at independence, although South Africa then became independent and free, and Africans could now rule or become president and so on, economic power remained largely with the whites. They're the ones who owned the means of production, the most productive land, and the businesses. Now come in the exile and the foreigners, if you may say so, Africans, black Africans from other black countries, black African countries, who came and invested in businesses in South Africa. Now, the exiles, those who are left in South Africa, they don't have the experience of outside. They started feeling threatened that if they are lacking jobs, they feel it is the fellow Africans that have taken their jobs. If they are not having a stable income, they are blaming it on the business people who have come from other places and invested in South Africa. They did not realize that these people who have invested in South Africa, they are good for the economy. They are expanding the economy of South Africa. And so there is that hatred that grew, hatred towards fellow Africans. And people, it has been defined not only as xenophobia, but also Afrophobia, because xenophobia can be racial, but Afrophobia is more like having that fear of fellow black people. Now, the reason is it has been noted that these South Africans, the black South Africans, have not chased away the Indians in South Africa, the whites in South Africa. They are only against the black Africans in South Africa. And these are the people that are being attacked. What has happened in South Africa, and is still happening, is like a sore. It is a wound. It's a sore. It's a smelling sore on the body fabric of Africa. It's a shame that this rainbow nation has turned to that. That today, hundreds of and thousands of Ghanaians have been chased away, Nigerians, Kenyans, Zimbabweans, Zambians, all these people are being flushed out of South Africa. And the government of Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, seems helpless. Some have been physically attacked. Most of them, their businesses have been vandalized. They have stolen almost all that these investors had in their shops. They have been thrown out with nothing but their clothes. Some of them have sustained injuries, and it is being said a few may have died. For example, there is the story of one Ghanaian that is said to have been killed. And actually, as we speak today, at the time of this particular program, Ghana has written to the United Nations to complain about the attacks and the apparent killing of one of their citizens in South Africa. And so we see there is trouble in the South. There is shame that is oozing out of the South. Professor Kagwanja, again I will mention him, he said at the very at the time of independence, when the African countries got independence, the South African situation was not tenable for independence because the whites had seen South Africa as an important entry point to Africa. And so, whereas the rest of Africa was black, they wanted to sustain a white tip at the south as an entry point where they would not at all, they would not allow the Africans to be independent. And that is the reason why apartheid took so long. And so now, having become independent, we would expect, and the expectation was, the black African population in South Africa would be appreciative of the efforts, financial, moral, and even at times very substantial support that the South African freedom fighters were accorded by their fellow African peoples. But the reverse has happened. And now the black Africans have turned against other African people. This is as worse as it could have gotten. Because then there are people who have started arguing that probably it was better when there was apartheid. Because at least we could say those who are orchestrating apartheid were foreigners who had come. They are whites who had come. They had other motives. They wanted economic gains from Africa. But now, why would a black African fight or kill another African? Now, the issues that we are raising here are so significant, because if then you have a community that has gone to South Africa, some Kenyans were there, they had invested, and they opened a business where there was none. They started an enterprise where there was none. They are engaged in a profitable enterprise. They are paying taxes. They are employing people even from South Africa. They are invigorating the economy of South Africa. And then you chase them away. Who knows? Do those black South Africans have the wherewithal to run such businesses with the same skills and business acumen as those Africans who have been chased away had? Will they be able to revitalize the activities, economic activities that we are being carried out by the foreigners who have been thrown out? I doubt. In fact, my thinking is that if nothing changes, in the next few years, we are going to see a collapse of the South African economy. I don't know why, personally, I'm seeing the president and the leadership that is there currently kind of sitting like a lame duck. I cannot really tell what they're doing, other than releasing statements denying the obvious. When Ghana says their citizens have been chased out and beaten and probably killed, South Africa is releasing a statement to say it is a lie. How can it be a lie when the airports in South Africa are full of people, that black Africans are being put in some protected areas to stop other Africans from killing them? How can you just release a presser to deny the obvious? The obvious is something terrible is happening in the South. Something terrible is happening under the watch of Cecil Ramaphosa. I don't know what has happened of the ANC. ANC was the backbone of the leadership of South Africa. In those days, there was morality. I don't know what happened when Jacob Zuma became president. Because I think Zuma must have incited the people of South Africa against other people, against the foreigners. He incited tribal feelings, feelings of tribal supremacy, that we are the people. You have not invested in skills development, in education of your people. Cyril Ramaphosa, listen. The solution to the problem in the South is not castigating other nations. It is addressing the real issues. And if you have a problem understanding how to diagnose the issues that you have, probably you need to borrow a leaf from elsewhere. In Kenya here, we are investing over 35% of our budget in education of our young people. I don't know what percentage you are investing in South Africa for the education of your young people. Because education is what then will enable your people to understand certain dynamics and be able to compete within a globalized economy and be able to be innovative and creative. And I will repeat this for the upteenth time, that releasing pressures, denying the obvious, will not heal the wound. South Africa is sick. South Africa, you are the sick man of Africa. And even South Africans who are watching me today, I want to say the road that you are walking is a dangerous road. It's a dangerous road. Because then if it happened that other African countries are reverted to equal, measures, then it means you will not trade with the rest of Africa. Who are you going to trade with? A lot of your produce, a lot of your equipments are purchased by African countries. Now, if you don't want Africans in your country, black Africans in your country, who are you going to trade with? Sometimes I listen to voices of reason from South Africa. Thabo Mbeki, for example, he's been consistently speaking on this matter, to this matter. And I think the conversation he has requested in the South, the conversation of minds, to be able to diagnose, and I heard him say that unless we get the diagnosis correct, then the solution we are going to offer will not be right. And I think that is where we need to begin. Because nationalistic views that are eliciting emotions amongst the poor of the poorest in South Africa, along tribal and ethnic lines, they will not give us a solution. And solution is not just dividing the land. The solution is in capacitating our people and educating, creating awareness, making them understand that foreigners are not the problem. The problem is failed policies. The problem is ethnic nationalism. The problem is glorifying incompetence. Because then you have people who want to occupy positions they are not qualified for. The reason why so many professionals came to South Africa and were needed in the time of Mandela and even in the time of Thabo Mbeki is because at least they accepted the head gaps in terms of intellectual the capacity that is needed to run certain issues of nation building. And I think those are the areas that we need to address. We need also to address economic empowerment. How can we empower black Africans in South Africa, black South Africans to be able to run their economic activities and be able to earn living for their own livelihood? In Kenya here, for example, we have MSMEs, the medium, small, and micro enterprises. Do we have a department in South Africa that is able to address that and grow the micro enterprises and train your business people so that they can graduate from startups, micro, and grow those businesses to medium and so on and so forth, so that then you can also think about how to start doing value addition and manufacturing at whatever level, so that then the benefits, the economic benefits, can trickle down to the people at the bottom of the pyramid. South Africans, you are listening to me. Zambians are not your enemy. Kenyans are not your enemy. Nigerians are not your enemy. Ghanaians are not your enemy. You are your own enemy. You are your own enemy. Your leadership has failed you. Your leadership has failed you. We need a bold leadership in South Africa that can call South Africans to order. Thabo Mbeki, you have an elder who gave a very good idea that you can do a national convention where you can reflect on the issues, understand, diagnose the problem, and start offering solutions that are data-based. They are not emotion-based. They are not ethnic-based. They are based on data. They are based on facts. They are based on intellectual engagement, on research. Involve your scholars and invite others from elsewhere. South Africa is such a jewel. We don't want to lose this nation. But I can tell you for sure, if nothing is done, you chase away nationalities of other African countries. And when you realize the economy has collapsed, you'll fight ethnic battles in South Africa. The whites will not be the enemy now. You'll be your own worst enemies. God forbid that it should come to that. The Zumas of this world must be kept aside from this. We need to have the Zulus, the Oxas, the Bushmen, the other communities sit around a national table. Common people, women, youth, farmers, herders, pastoralists, business people, to sit round a table, scholars, and diagnose the problem of South Africa. And that malignant cancer, the cancerous cells that have bedeviled the body fabric of South Africa, must be removed. It's a painful process, but the tumor must be removed. We need someone to midwife this. My fear is President Cyril Ramaphosa is not rising up to the task. You cannot do this by appeasing certain nationalities. You can only do this by taking a pedestal of a statesman, a leader who can guide your people and tell them if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's evil, it's evil. And sacrifice even your own political position. But you guide your people to the right path. If we are not careful, we are watching at the ingredients of an implosion of a republic. We cannot afford to do that. As in other countries in Africa, we love South Africa. God has blessed you with great, great people and a great, great cultures and a great, great land. The mountains, the rivers, the oceans, the beaches, the fertile lands, the forests. We cannot allow this to just get messed up. And I think it's about time that all the people of South Africa, including the whites minority who are there, come together and they discuss honestly the future of South Africa. Let the South rise again. Let the South be healed of this divisive, cancerous, and very evil political jam that has infested the body politic in South Africa. That is our take. Thank you.